I'm Greg Johnson, pilot of STS-134. You're watching NASA TV.
And a special good morning to you, Roberto. That song was for you. It was Feliossi La Mattina.
Good morning, Houston. Thank you for playing that song. La Mattina, risvegliarsi la mattina. That means obviously waking up in the morning. And we woke up this morning. I flew to the Russian side and Paolo, Dima, and Caddy have undocked. They still have not landed, and we look forward to hear that they are back on Earth. Well, it's going to be a good day, and thank you very much again for playing the song.
Grazie. Buongiorno, Roberto.
This is Mission Control Houston. As you've heard, the Space Shuttle Endeavour crew now awake. That was a special song played for Italian Space Agency astronaut Roberto Vittori.
KPIX TV, this is Houston. Please call Endeavour for a voice check.
Endeavour, this is KPIX TV. How do you hear me?
We read you loud and clear. How us?
Sounds good, thank you. The highlights so far on your mission.
We've been up here about 7.5 calendar days, but since we launched at the end of our very first day, we're on flight day 9, so we've had 8 wake-ups. And in that period of time, we've had the launch, we've inspected our heat shields, we've joined up with the space station, we've completed 2 spacewalks, we've installed the AMS particle detector, Taz installed the ELC spare parts for the ISS, and a bunch of other stuff. So we've gotten a lot done in this first week.
You went on the spacewalk. How was that like?
Well, that was my first spacewalk, and that was the most intense thing I've ever done in my life. That was really amazing. It's really amazing that humans can really do this. It's not science fiction; it's absolutely real, and it was amazing. It was a lot of fun, and it was a big difference between the night and the day. First thing I did when I went out there is I kind of wanted to do a little like. Look, Mom, no hands kind of thing. But I, with one hand holding on a handrail, kind of just leaned back and looked at the Earth below, 220 miles below. And what an amazing thing to be floating there, holding on to the space station, flying around the Earth with the Earth below like that. Just incredible. At night it was very strange actually, because it was kind of like scuba diving in a way on a coral wall, because there's a void all around you, just a total black void, and the only thing that sort of connects you back to reality is this handrail in front of you that your headlamp is lighting up, and everything else is just this endless void that you have no idea how far it is to anything. It was very, very surreal, very, very, very interesting. But the work went great, and we're trained so well to, every part of the process is so methodical that we just kind of step through it and just keep going, and that kind of distracts you from, getting lost in all the emotions and the spectacle of it all.
How long have you had the dream of going into space and being an astronaut?
I think we'll both answer that one, Tim. My first dream of being an astronaut was when I was 7 years old back in 1969. It was July the 20th, and I was in central Michigan at my grandparents' house watching the lunar landing for the very first time on a black and white TV with my brother and sister, mom and dad. And Taz probably has a similar story.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's the same time, the same event. The T's box, he's just a little bit older than me. So I was 6 years old. I was going to be 7 in a month.
Yeah, okay, fine.
And my family was on a vacation in Florida. And we got to watch the launch of Apollo 11. And my dad was a real fanatic of the space program, and I used to watch Star Trek with him all the time. And when we saw that launch, I told him at that time, that's what I want to do, and somehow managed to keep the dream alive my whole life.
All right, thank you very much.
Endeavour, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the KPIX portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KGO TV.
Thank you for being with us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. How do you hear me?
Well, we hear you great, and I really appreciate it, both of you guys, for coming on. Tell us what you're doing up there on this final mission for this shuttle that will help us back here on Earth.
Well, I'm up here on the flight deck of Endeavour here with our pilot, box, Greg Johnson, and we're having a great mission up here so far. You know, one of the biggest things we've done on this mission is install the alpha magnetic spectrometer. So, you know, in a sense, this is a science mission, although we're really the delivery guys. Several of us were involved in the robotics to install it. And this is a really important scientific instrument. You know, kind of unlike all the other observatories and telescopes before that looked at light. This is looking at cosmic rays, cosmic particles, and it's going to give us an understanding of the universe that we just haven't had before, and solve some of the mysteries of physics. Now that's a science perspective, but on the station we have a lot of other experiments going on. There's well over 100 experiments going on, and it's amazing how big the station is, and with 12 people on board right now, it's a big facility. Some of the things that are going on there are actually related to recycling. And we're recycling water, we're recycling air, we're scrubbing out carbon dioxide, and a lot of these technologies that will be very necessary to be able to explore further will be able to be used back on Earth to conserve resources.
And this is water, recycled water from the station. And this is recycled water from the space station.
Let me ask you this, gentlemen. Are you planning anything special, because this is the final mission for Endeavour? Anything special up there?
Well, you know, this is Endeavour's 25th and final flight, and although we're really excited to be part of that final flight, you know, celebrations and even strongly acknowledging the fact that it's the final flight is really something you do afterwards. And so right now we're enjoying and embracing the adventure of this final flight of Endeavour. We've still got some things to do on our timeline, and when we get back home, we'll probably have some celebrations, and this space shuttle is going to end up, I believe, in California, and to share with everyone that comes to visit it. So I guess the answer to your question is yes, there will be celebration, but right now we're just doing business as normal.
Thank you both. What a privilege to talk with you. Have a safe trip back home, and good luck with the rest of the mission.
Endeavour, this is KFBK. How do you hear me?
We read you loud and clear. I think there's a slight voice delay.
That there is, but we'll continue on, and we would like to, well, again, greetings from planet Earth, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us today. We are talking with Greg Johnson, who is the pilot of this mission, and mission specialist Greg Shamatov, who, as I understand, Greg grew up in the San Jose area.
Yeah, that's right. I grew up in San Jose. Actually moved there from Canada when I was very young. My dad felt that California was the land of opportunity, and for me, obviously, that worked out very, very nicely. And I have a lot of family, a lot of friends there, and looking forward to seeing them after the mission. A lot of them came to see the launch, you know, and I went to school in California, Cal Poly, and so a lot of ties to the entire area.
Now, a question for both of you gentlemen. For those of us, and I'm one of them, who grew up watching the Apollo missions, of course, Skylab, and then the beginnings of the shuttle missions, describe what it's like to be in space, to be on one of these missions, to be one of the very few people in the world to be able to do something like this.
Well, I'll start off by saying it's a great honor and privilege, and I know there are a whole bunch of people that would just love to be up here. So because of that, I cherish every single moment. You know, being in space, being weightless, is an adventure in and of itself. Everything in life is fun. Sleeping, eating, working, joking around with your buddies. The space station now is huge. You can get lost in it. I make wrong turns now that we've got basically 5 different modules connected at one juncture. So it's a great honor and privilege to be in space, and I love it. And I'm going to let Taz add to that.
Well, you know, as Bach said, it's really an honor, and you really feel that. I mean, it's a lot of work to prepare for everything that we do, and you know, for example, the spacewalks we're doing on this mission. I mean, there's an incredible team, you know, behind everything we're doing up here, and to be the one to get to do it, it's an incredible privilege. The one thing that we feel really good about doing is getting to share the time up here with everyone else, like we're doing right now, because I mean, this is all we can do. I wish everybody could be up here. Someday that may be true, but now what we can do is try to share our experience with everybody, and we come back, we can also travel around and do the same thing. And we really look forward to doing that.
All right, Greg Johnson, Greg Shamatoff, unless there's any chance you can beam me up, I guess we're finished here.
Well, we'd love to share this with you. This is an outstanding spaceship. We're really honored to be on her last voyage, 25th mission of Endeavour, and then the space shuttle will retire. We have one more space shuttle mission after this, STS-135, and everybody be sure to watch that launch if you haven't seen one yet.
Endeavour, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, California. Endeavour, we are now resuming operational audio communications.
The crew has restored several systems on board with the replacement of a failed remote power controller module after a remote power controller tripped on Monday. That caused the temporary loss of some of the equipment on board the station. That was recovered. Mike Fink handled the removal and replacement of the RPCM, and then the ground quickly powered it up and reconfigured all of the systems, and they're all back where they should be. It's essentially very close to having a fuse blow, and just having to replace that fuse here on the ground, either in a car or if a circuit breaker popped in your home. Resetting that, in the case of the station, it requires a replacement of a piece of equipment, and that was done, and the systems are all back where they were before the power trip. Also, the crew is focusing a good bit on today on replacing one of the carbon dioxide removal assembly beds that basically absorbs carbon dioxide and then vents it overboard in a continuous recycle to remove carbon dioxide from the cabin atmosphere of the International Space Station.
Endeavour, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event? And it'll be done on a lav mic. Spang?
We're ready.
You should be talking to the Daily. This is Houston. Please call Endeavour for a voice check.
Endeavour, this is Elizabeth Staub with the Daily. How do you hear me?
We've got you loud and clear, Elizabeth. How do you hear us?
Great. Good morning. I just want to start by saying that a lot of the questions we'll be asking you were submitted from people all over the world, And many of them, before we get started, just want to say, sending you guys well wishes for your crew's safe return, and also, Commander Kelly, many well wishes for the continuing recovery of your wife, Congresswoman Giffords. With that, I'll get into it. Luke, age 7, from Tennessee, wants to know, Commander Kelly, how fast do you travel on launch and return, and how fast do you guys travel in orbit?
So on liftoff, we obviously start on the pad, and we go from 0 to 17,500 miles an hour in 8.5 minutes. And then we pretty much stay at that speed for us for about 16 days. And then to get home, all that energy we put in on liftoff, we have to take back out. But instead of doing it in 8.5 minutes, we'll slow down over a period of about 40 minutes or so, where we'll then glide to a landing in Florida.
And Haldor from Iceland wants to know, mission specialist Fink, describe what you see in space in one word.
Beautiful planet Earth.
That's great. For mission specialist Chamatov, Courtney from Texas wants to know, has there ever been a moment in all of your space career where all of those hours of training hadn't quite prepared you for it? For example, the other day when your spacewalk was cut short.
You know, I think, in fact, probably the opposite. I mean, probably the most intense thing I have ever done is that spacewalk a few days ago. And, you know, it's such an overwhelming sensation to be out there and to see the Earth between your legs 220 miles below, and in every other direction, you know, trillions of miles to the next thing, you know, unless it's the sun, which is a little closer. But, you know, the training is so good that you know, we just focus on our next step, and we wherever we are, we kind of know exactly what to do at the next step. And you know, with so many things that we thought about in terms of contingencies. In fact, you know, the alarm that I got in my suit, it may have sounded like a, you know, something of concern to you know, the audience listening on NASA TV, but I was expecting that alarm because we already knew that suit had a potential problem like that, and we knew exactly what we were going to do. So training is really terrific to prepare us for everything up here.
And the next question for Commander Kelly. Brandy from Oklahoma wants to know, what's your favorite pastime in space that you cannot do here on Earth?
Well, I think it has to be, for me, is just flying through the space station. When you leave the airlock of the space shuttle from one end of the space station to the other, it takes a couple minutes. You know, maybe not that, depends on how fast you go, obviously, but it's really an amazing experience to just fly through a module. So it's not described exactly as floating. I mean, you're literally, you know, flying through the air, and that's, you know, I could do that all day, every day if I had the chance.
What does that mean? Next question for Mission Specialist Fink. Who is your space hero and why?
Well, Elizabeth, I can't pick one. I think we all stand on the shoulders of giants. Each mission we get better. We go a little bit farther on in exploration. So I think my space heroes are all the crews that came before us. And hopefully we can provide adequate shoulders for the crews that come after us.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have now, but thanks so much, you guys. We wish you a safe return home and continued exploration in space. Thanks so much again.
Endeavour, this is News Radio 1020 KDKA. How do you hear me?
News Radio 1020 KDKA. This is the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Mike Fink speaking. How yin's doing?
Mike, it's great to hear your voice from space. Hey, you know, you finally got the opportunity after all your time in space to go up there on board the space shuttle. How was it for the ride?
Well, it was an amazing launch. We were sitting there in Florida. The clouds were coming over. We were wondering if we were going to get canceled because of weather. And then the clouds gently dissipated, and 8.5 minutes later, with a big kick in the pants, we were up in space. And boy, was it amazing.
Not everyone who is on board the shuttle at the time has a great view out the window, but I understand you did have a view out the window, and how did it look?
Yeah, I was lucky to sit up on the flight deck. I was sitting behind pilot Box Johnson, and I could see out his window. And it's different than my earlier missions when I flew on the Soyuz, because we were in the payload shroud, so we couldn't see anything for a long time. But here we could see the clouds race by. We could see the beautiful planet get smaller and smaller, and it was a really amazing sight.
You have logged so many hours on spacewalks. You doing any of that this time around?
You bet. In fact, we just finished getting ready for tomorrow's spacewalk. Our crew so far has done 2 successful spacewalks, and we got 2 more to go. And I just came back from one 2 days ago, and then we get to go out tomorrow. It's one thing after another on a shuttle mission.
Commander Mark Kelly, I got to ask you, the local boy there from Emsworth, how's Mike Fink doing on that maiden voyage on board the space shuttle?
He's doing great. You know, it's really nice to have both Mike and Greg, who have spent so much time on the space station. Anytime, you know, I need to find something, I don't have to go look it up. I just ask one of them, and they've both been incredible crew members. Mike on the flight deck for Ascent did an outstanding job, and he's going to be on the flight deck here again for entry. So it's a pleasure to have him on board.
Hey, Greg, can you give us a perspective on what it's like to be part of the final mission of Endeavour, realizing that when you all touch down, the next stop for the Endeavour is basically going to be a museum?
Yeah, it's difficult for us to think of it that way, you know, because we're up here. The space station is, basically assembly complete at this point, and it's almost 1 million pounds of hardware. It's huge. I just kind of like did a video tour the other day and flew through all the modules. There were 12 crew members on board, and all these different modules filled with science equipment, and the shuttle is here, and you look at it from the cupola on the station, and you see this giant space shuttle attached at one end. It's just spectacular, you know, what we have up here and what we've accomplished up here. And you know, the space shuttle looks like it belongs right where it is. You know, this is a beautiful machine. It performs beautifully, and it gets us up here and brings so much useful science and payload to orbit and then back. And it's going to be hard for us to put it away in a museum, you know, but it's the end of an era, you know, and there'll be new vehicles to replace it, and those new vehicles will hopefully allow us to go beyond low Earth orbit and do new and greater things in the future. So, the time has to come at some point.
Mission Specialist Greg Shamatoff, Commander Mark Kelly, and Mission Specialist and Pittsburgh native, Emsworth native Mike Fink. Hey, Mike, next time you're back in Pittsburgh after the flight, make sure you drop by the KDKA studios and say hi.
Absolutely. We'll certainly get back to Pittsburgh as soon as I can. My parents are still there, and we love coming up. It's one of the best cities in the entire planet. Y'all have a nice day.
Endeavour, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the News Radio KDKA portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from KTRK.
Endeavour, this is KTRK TV. How do you hear me?
Okay, you're loud and clear.
Gentlemen, good morning. What's it feel like to be in space again?
Good morning, Tom. Well, it's always a great day when you're in orbit around the Earth. It's been a while, you know, for me, 3 years since I was last in space, and really enjoying the flight, and it's going well.
Well, I know you guys have a lot on tap for this particular mission with, of course, you know, you're going to have another spacewalk when it comes to installing that filter inside the oxygen generation system, and you've got a lot of work ahead. But is it also kind of bittersweet knowing that this is it when it comes to the Space Shuttle Endeavour? This is that final mission.
Yeah, this is it for Endeavour. After we land back in Florida, hopefully, Endeavour will head off to a museum, so it's kind of sad. But this mission still, I mean, we're halfway through it today, and Endeavour has to perform really, really well for us, and it has so far. This is an incredible ship. We're all going to be sorry to see them retired, but we're also looking forward to, exploration and the United States and maybe our international partners going to other destinations like back to the moon or maybe one day going to Mars. We're looking forward to that.
Well, gentlemen, we have actually run out of time this morning. We wish you the best, and I know, Mike, you'll be out on that spacewalk in just a short time, so good luck with that. Have a great time in space, and we'll see you when you get back on Earth.
All right, Tom, we'll see you then. Great talking to you.
Endeavour, this is the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. How do you hear me?
Good morning, Rachel. This is Mike Fink aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour. We hear you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
Great. Hi, Colonel Fink. I'll start with you. How does it feel to be part of Endeavour's last mission and the second-to-last flight in the shuttle program?
You know, I always, I was a little kid back in Pittsburgh, and I just really always wanted to fly in the space shuttle. And my NASA career took me to go fly in space for a whole year, flying with the Russians before I had a chance to fly on the space shuttle. And I'll tell you what, it was worth the wait. Endeavour's a beautiful bird. It's taking us through our mission step by step. Very, very few problems, if any, and we're having a great mission. So that's what I'm concentrating on. And sure, it's bittersweet that this is Endeavour's last mission, but she's doing great, and she saved her best for last.
Now, I know you've done 2 spacewalks so far. How did they go, and can you tell us a little bit about what you did?
Certainly. Our crew has done 2 spacewalks so far. We have 2 more to go. The first one, we had Greg, who's standing right next to me, along with Drew Feustel, and they did some very important work to take some science experiments back in and get ready and help one of our communication systems get an upgrade, so to speak. And on our second spacewalk, we did some long-term improvements for the space station so that it could last till its planned life of 2020 and perhaps beyond. So tomorrow we're going to put some cabling out to give the Russian part of the space station some more power. And on our last spacewalk, Dr. Shamatov and I will go out and leave a very long truss, or I guess it's a beam on the outside that we can pick up with a robot arm and help inspect the space station or put a person at the end in case we need some extra reach. So it's really exciting. A lot of things are going on. Spacewalks are really tough, and but we got a great crew, so we can do it.
Great, guys. Thanks so much for your time.
Nice to hear you, and a big hello to everyone back in Pittsburgh.
Hey, we'd like to thank the Daily News Radio KDKA, KTRK TV, and the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Endeavour, we are now resuming operational audio communications, and Spanky, you missed a great opportunity to list me as your hero.
Somehow Scorch, that slipped my mind, but you definitely are my hero. You're the wind beneath my wings.
Hey, I'll be waiting for you when you get home.
All right, welcome to our Flight Day 9 highlights. Here's Roberto on the middeck. This was a busy day of a lot of work on board the station. And here's Mark getting some exercise in. Yeah, on the flight deck when the spacewalkers are getting ready for EVA the next day, Mark and Roberto and I spend a lot of time, this is Box talking, for example, filling CWCs. There you see a water bag. It's about a 100-pound water bag now, and it's timed to be, the fill to be terminated at a particular time. So I'm squeezing out some video just before the end of the fill. Here you are, and from Node 2, we're going into the PMM. It's a logistics module, and this is really conveniently located for us for EVA preparation. There's Mike and Drew. We're preparing here. I was in there with them earlier this morning. This is Greg, Taz. We're setting up for EVA 3, which is tomorrow, and there's a lot of work to prepare for an EVA each day. The suits have to be reconfigured and prepared. And then we have a lot of tools to set up, and then all the specific things for the EVA. This particular spacewalk, something that they're handling right now, is setting up it's an attachment mechanism for the station robotic arm, and to be able to basically walk off to the Russian side of the space station. Our robotic arm can move from one place to another, end over end, and this will allow us to use our robotic arm for tasks on the Russian side of the space station. So that's one of the major tasks. The other thing we're doing is setting up some wiring to give some extra redundancy and power to the Russian side. We send power that direction from our solar arrays, and some rewiring will make that more redundant. And Box was in there too this morning. Yeah, Roberto and I spent a lot of time milling around among those bags in the PMM, kind of on a reverse Easter egg hunt. We had a big basket of eggs, and we were delivering eggs to the different spots. And I zoomed in on the end cone there where we were trying to find a real troublesome bag today. There's some 2 or 3 dozen bags in the back of the PMM, and we were able to find it. And then we went across to the other side where we found Taz, busy at work. You know, he spent 6 months on the space station, and now he's using some of his expertise to help the guys up here while we're visiting. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Getting a chance to do some maintenance, get behind the racks. I did a lot of this my last expedition. And this particular rack is the OGS, it's the oxygen generation system. Actually, this is the kind of thing you would use on Mars. This is the back of the rack. As you can see, it's very complicated in there. Here it's giving us back some additional oxygen we otherwise would be wasting. Now you can just see the mid-deck there, the activity going around. I think they've been on the bike now for almost 30 minutes. You can see he's starting to get tired, but he is given instructions even when he's exercising.
Completing our video of the mid-deck operations, we see Mark over here checking the flight plan on a laptop, and there goes the CWC. The last thing that has to happen is this thing has to be transferred to the ISS. You can see this is technical water with the green tag, and off we go to the space station. It's kind of hard to maneuver it with one hand, but there it goes, the life of a CWC going into the space station. And off we go. It's kind of a heavy bag. And the arrival of the CWC into the GEM. Beautiful laboratory. Oh, check out the keyboard I found the other day, which is a different story. We actually had a band going the other night before Katie left. But here's where the CWCs are, and no, not down there. You're actually going up here. So thanks, Drew, for the help with the CWC. It's kind of heavy, man. I'm gonna pass. Oh, what's that?
Check out this keyboard I found.
You didn't found it. I found it.
I'm a musician. Come on. It's got some good songs.
You haven't played it yet. Come on. It works though.
I've got a couple of good songs that I remembered from before. Let me see if I can remember them. Ready?
But real quickly, what happened the other night before Katie left?
How's that?
Ha! That's the preset recording.
Keys, Come on, I'm in Max Q. I sub as the keyboard player sometimes.
All right, turn off that thing.
Okay, so the other night, I think we filmed it. We had a little concert, and Box was playing keys, Katie played the flute, and I played guitar, and we played Brown Eyed Girl.
And I didn't remember a lot of the chords.
Yeah, and even though I've sung it for the last 10 years with the band, I forgot the second verse, but only part of it, so, you know, I guess that's what happens in space, you know. Actually, it happens to me on Earth, too, but...
But
we had
you know...
a good time. We had a nice little song, and everybody enjoyed it, and we had a little concert for folks. Yeah.
But I was at a loss for where to put the keyboard, and so I had it laying on the deck there on that flat bag, MLE bag over there. But it was in the way, and so then I realized, hey, you can put it on the wall, you know,
right.
And it actually worked better with those diagonal bunchy cords.
Right side down, upside, right side up, upside down, whatever you want. Hey, Box, tell us about this.
Oh yeah, I've been telling them about the CWC. You know, this is the final resting place of CWC number 6.
It's full of water.
It's full of water, man. It's got like, what, 100, 150 pounds of water in it?
Let me see. I can. That's about what I can dumbbell lift. Yeah, that's good.
All right, we're out of here.
Well, thanks for coming on board the International Space Station on Flight Day 9. It's been a lot of fun. You know, the CWC fills are kind of a mundane task, but it's something that every shuttle crew gets to do when they come to the ISS, and just wanted to glorify the CWC a little bit today. Tomorrow will be a little more exciting with EVA number 3. Have a great night.